Season 55, War number 1. Today we've matched up against PBT, and the bands are Corvus, Hulk, Silk, Void, and Null. And my team today is going to be Prowler, America Chavez, and Deathless She-Hulk. And it has been, I think, an entire month since we have had War, and I have suffered severe War withdrawal syndrome. I am so happy to be finally back to making this content, because War is my favorite game mode to make content on, and it's just a really good time. But we're going to be doing something very similar to the final War of last season, where I'm going to be using Prowler for a large majority of my fights. Prowler has 4 fights this War, some really interesting ones that I can't wait to get into, but then we also have 3 America Chavez fights and 1 fight with Deathless She-Hulk. So, starting on Path 6 today against this Korg, Prowler is a very good Korg counter because his mediums are non-contact, so you do not take thorns. He also does not place many debuffs at all for Korg to shrug off with the thorns, and it's just a pretty easy time overall. We're going to go for the heavy attack here, and then I have an unblockable SP2 lined up, so I can just drop it right there, and then Korg goes down. So that is the first fight, and then we move on to the second fight against Havok on node 15. So, Prowler does not have any armor ups, however he does have very good ways at countering Havok. He's never going to crit, so Havok cannot gain his plasma that way, and also when Havok is power locked or drained, he is going to lose all of his personal plasma passives. That does not include the plasmas on me, but it includes his purple ones on his side. So whenever he drops a special, he's not only going to convert some of them to prowess, but he's also just going to lose whatever ones he had remaining. Assuming that, so the prowess does trigger before the power lock does, which is how I expect it to go. And then we drop this SP2 with a good bit of furies, so we don't get a lot of crits placing extra ruptures, but that's alright. And now it's just about chipping him down a little bit. I go for a special one here, hoping for a bit more crits than I really got to finish him off, but we're going to finish the job right here. So there goes Havok in just under a minute. And we move on to section 2, where I am fighting this Medusa on node 26. Actually a scary placement, because if you get auto-blocked, you very well could die with how much extra attack Medusa is going to have. However, when I'm playing Chavez, I'm just going to spam heavies basically, or medium heavies, because she's never going to auto-block me that way. And that's pretty much all I need to do. I'm also running an invul boost just in case I do get clipped somehow, because I could very well die in one combo if I do get clipped. So just in case, we're running that invul, and then I get to an SP2, and then she's basically dead. We can just drop it immediately because it's going to be unblockable at that point, and then she goes down right there. So next up, we're fighting America Chavez herself on node 35. She does literally nothing on this node, so I don't really know why she's here, but they might have been trying to place some defenders that couldn't get rolled over by Chavez on this node, because Chavez does usually roll over most of the common node 35 placements, but I needed to assign myself any tech champ really. Science champ really, so I picked Deathless She-Hulk because I just recently ranked 3'd her. I definitely had a bunch of other science options that I could have gone with, but it literally didn't matter who I picked, because this node is so nothing, so I just decided to use DeJen, and here I get stand your grounded, so my invul triggers, but it's only this fight, so it doesn't really matter that much. Anyway, I don't need to heal after this fight at all. So those are my path fights. We are going to move on to my minis. I have 4 of them, 2 with Prowler, 2 with Chavez. Starting with this Bishop on node 39. I did overlook something. I was going to need Odin pre-fights for Prowler's second mini, but I got them placed on the first one. And I completely disregard the fact that this node has power snacks, so they would all go away immediately. So that's a little annoying, but it's not a big deal. We're still going to get them back for the Weapon X fight. We just don't have them here. And it ended up probably being better anyway, because my Odin pre-fight player had other minis to take later, so considering this was the first island, it was better to get it done early, just for timing purposes. And yeah, I dropped my Prowler SP2. It's really easy to max out your Furies with Prowler versus Bishop, because he doesn't technically consume his power until after the special. So Prowler's just going to power drain all of it and just get 30 of his Furies instantly every time Bishop throws a special. So we don't have the Incinerate for extra damage, because you don't want to Incinerate Bishop. So yeah, we don't have that, but it still goes down in 2 SP2s in only like 50 seconds. So pretty easy fight, even with my Prowler being only a 6-star. So now we're fighting Gorr on node 40. I had the option to also assign Spiral to this fight, but I just decided to take it because I knew this would be super fast with Chavez. Maybe a little bit less risky if I sent Spiral there, but I prefer to just take all the fights myself, if I'm being entirely honest with you. Not because I don't trust my guys, but because I trust myself more than pretty much anyone else when it comes to Alliance War, which is probably a bad thing, but at the same time, that's just my my planning philosophy usually. It has positives and negatives, and as you can see here, we're going to full health the score anyway, and he goes down in just over 40 seconds, so it did not really matter that much. And now we're fighting this Weapon X on node 43. As I said earlier, I still had those Odin pre-fights carry over, even though they got nullified in the Bishop fight. And the Odin pre-fights just make this fight pretty much a joke with Prowler, because Hazard Shift ends up not mattering, so it's basically just a Weapon X with sometimes insult to injury. Because if you do have the shocks on you, they aren't really going to hurt you, but you are going to have lower ability accuracy when they are on you, so that's annoying, obviously. So I'm going to get a sidestep right after the Unstoppable goes away, which Prowler is like one of the easiest champs in the entire game to sidestep with, because his light attack reach is absurd. So here I'm going for a heavy attack, and then I realize, oh wait, he's unstoppable, I can't do that. So I kind of was like, I did the math, and I realized I had 30 Furies, so I could just drop the SP2 with no comeuppance. So it worked out just fine. But like, I was trying to land a heavy attack, and he went unstoppable, so it was not going to work. But because my SP2 was unblockable, and because even if he was unstoppable the entire attack, I have the falter at the end of the special. If he tries to counter me, there was like no risk involved at all. So yeah, he just goes down in just over a minute. That's probably my favorite assignment for that fight. A lot of people do Nimrod, but Prowler with Odin is so much safer in my opinion. So usually I just prowl that one myself, because normally if I assign Prowler in War, it goes to me, but I definitely can look into some other people taking that fight as well. So my last fight this war is going to be Chavez versus Adam Warlock on node 47. Adam doesn't really do anything on this node when Chavez is around, so I'd opt to place a lot of different champs on this node that aren't Adam, because Chavez just runs him through the ground. So this fight actually is like the longest fight of the war, and it really shouldn't have been. I don't really know why I made it last so long. Here I'm gonna throw an SP1, and then I'm gonna throw another SP1 right here, and then it's just a loop of me throwing SP1s, and then I'm getting like the same amount of power back because of Mystic Dispersion. And now we're finally at an SP2, and then he drops his SP2, unfortunately. So now I'm just like, I think I'm just gonna go for an SP3. And if I do a full heavy before that, I'm going to have 2 negative zones at the end of the SP3, so he physically cannot drop his own SP3, because he's going to be power drained the entire time because of his ability power rate, because we're reversing it by 120%, so he physically cannot drop his SP3, as you're going to see right around here. He does have the stasis pod incoming, which is annoying, but I just dropped the relic, and it doesn't really matter. Then he follows up with a heavy attack like an idiot, so I can just, you know, do that, and he goes down. So that fight lasted probably 30 seconds longer than it should have if I could time an SP2 right. I just couldn't for some reason. So yeah, that's my first war, 8 fights, 8 solos, really easy first war for me. But we did lose pretty badly, 10-1. PBT played exceptional, and we were absolutely not prepared for this, apparently. Because 10 deaths is like the highest we've put in the past 9 wars. So, or maybe not the highest, but it's close to the highest. So, very poor performance on our parts. Hopefully we can clean it up in the wars ahead. My battle group did great. We only gave 1 death. So happy with my BG. But yeah, that's my War 1. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.